Welcome to CTV News Channel on this Sunday. I'm Brad Giffen. Tom Cruise's Oblivion had a blockbuster opening overseas with $61 million this weekend. The sci-fi thriller opens in North America on Friday. Here, meantime, is this weekend's top three.
Cavemen don't need brains. We have these. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the caveman comedy The Croods fended off G.I. Joe Retaliation to hold on to third spot, raking in another $13 million.
Trina, I'm scared.
Lindsay, sweetie, there's nothing to be scared of.
Scary Movie 5 with cameos from Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan. Screamed into second place, debuting with just over $15 million, the lowest open for the horror comedy series.
I've come back from worse than this.
I just found out today. Best I can do. I'll get you straightened out tomorrow, okay?
It's okay.
42. The film about baseball great Jackie Robinson hit a grand slam. It slid into #1 with more than $27 million, a record opening for a baseball movie. And now with what's hot at the box office this week, and we know it's 42, Jason Gorber, film critic at twitchfilm.com. Jason, great to see you again. Let's talk about that big film opening of 42. What's making it so great?
Honestly, if I would have seen it, I would have been able to tell you what was so great about it. I skipped it. Honestly, the film looks so earnest and so much the same kind of story. I wasn't really into it. So that particular one I unfortunately skipped. I'm glad it's doing well at the box office, but I much prefer seeing something like Ken Burns' Baseball. I'm a much bigger fan of documentary. Look, I think the Jackie Robinson story is an incredibly important one to tell. From what I understand from other critics that have seen it, it's so over the top and so earnest in trying to tell its story that it just doesn't really gel the way that it should. A lot of people, some people are liking it, but I think a lot of people think it's a real missed opportunity. I actually relate it to another film that I think was done with equal earnestness, and that was Red Tails from last year. George Lucas finally told the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. Again, it's a story with a great deal of heart and a story that really should be told. But in a fiction film, the story doesn't really translate because they have to make it epic to appeal to a wider audience. Honestly, the story of Jackie Robinson and his breaking down of the racial barrier is an incredibly important one. I'm just not always sure that a fiction film is the best way to actually get that across.
And viewers will decide for themselves, won't they, Jason?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you bet. Well, let's talk about Trance now, by Oscar winner Danny Boyle.
Right, so here's something that I did actually make the effort to go see, and a lot of people unfortunately won't. Trance is a phenomenal film. It's a really beautiful little film that Danny Boyle did actually in between when he was working on the Olympics. He actually took a little bit of while he was working on the opening ceremonies, he took a little bit of a break and decided, hey, I'm going to go make this film. If you've ever seen his first film called Shallow Grave, it starred Ewan McGregor. It's this tremendous little sort of Hitchcockian little suspense thing that fundamentally doesn't have a very strong story but has incredibly strong characters. Trance is very much the same way. It's a little bit of an art film, so people who are more used to stuff like Slumdog Millionaire and some of his more accessible works might be a little bit put off, but this is absolutely the kind of film that you should go out and support and give a chance to. It has tremendous performances and a really, really strong story. Again, I think, like a lot of people, I think on first viewing won't necessarily like it, but this is the kind of movie that you really want to see again and again. It's got incredible moments and some strong visuals. I can't support this enough.
Hey, Jason, I just got word from my producer that we have a clip. Throw to a clip, he tells me. I don't know for which movie it's about, so let's have a look at it.
Let's try a movie, shall we?
Okay, let's have a look.
Stop right there. Step back.
Remember, do not be a hero.
Put it down.
No piece of art is worth a human life.
Looks good. Trance.
Yeah, so Vince, I will say very quickly, this is exactly the kind of movie that a lot of people will watch. In the first 20 minutes, all kinds of stuff's going on. This is totally a movie you just stick with. It's so wonderful when you have a film like this, which is structurally very, very weird, but you know you're in strong hands of a good director who will lead you down a path. Once it's all done, it will all make sense. Just stick with it. Don't give up after a couple minutes the way that some audiences want right at the beginning to know everything that's going on. This is not that kind of movie. Just stick with it and it will all work out, I assure you.
Well, speaking of being led down the path, let's talk about That Place Beyond the Pines.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling.
Schenectady, New York. In other words, The Place Beyond the Pines. Again, another film that I really, really liked until I didn't like it.
Ah.
It's kind of long. It's directed by a guy named, I'm trying to get the right name here, Derek Cianfrance. He did Blue Valentine, also with Ryan Gosling. It's a film that's told sort of episodically over generations. So you have Gosling's character who then interacts with Bradley Cooper's character and then the sort of kids of the previous generation. So it's like a 15 years later is actual credit in the film. It's, again, a little film that a lot of people won't go out to. It played TIFF last year, and one of the more amusing things when they're advertising it is it emblazons on the trailer Bradley Cooper's best performance, and it's clear that the person who wrote that hadn't seen Silver Linings Playbook, which played 3 days later. Nonetheless, it is absolutely worth seeing. It doesn't quite, let's stick with the baseball metaphor, it's not quite the home run that it should be. But nonetheless, you have Gosling doing something very much like what he did in Drive, and Bradley Cooper's fantastic in it. It's like 90% an amazing movie and 10% only okay, but it's definitely worth seeing.
With that endorsement, we thank you, Jason. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks so much.
You can follow Jason on Twitter at filmfest_.ca. Hey, Jason, have a great week. We'll see you again next weekend.